people being here to help, being participating with the government of the city. At this time, I'd like to call the Horn Lake Board of Aldermen meeting to order and ask Alderman Bledsoe to please lead us in our invocation.
Thank you, Luke. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for Horn Lake and thank you for the people that's in Horn Lake. That we're going to be a great city and keep going and growing and growing. Thank you for everything you do for us. And we may glorify you in things that we do. And protect all these people out tonight and everybody in this bad weather. Keep everybody safe and be with everybody that's sick. And put your hand on them and help them through it and get them well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Will you please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman Dave Young? Thank you, Alderman. Thank all of y'all. Roll call, please, Mr. Jim.
Alderman Klein.
Here.
Alderman Bledsoe. Alderman Geis.
Here.
Alderman Bostic.
Here.
Alderman Johnson.
Here.
Alderman Dupree. Here. Alderman Young.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Number one on the agenda, the vote on the municipal docket. Do we have a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the municipal docket.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bledsoe. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree. Aye. Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Number two on your agenda is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Bostic.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through M.
We have a motion by Alderman Bostic. Do we have a second? Second. Do we have any discussion? I'd like to move letter B. Would that be good for new business, Mr. Campbell? So we move letter B to new business, and I have a question about Mr. Drew about letter J. Do we receive any money for this, Mr. Drew?
Yes, sir. They rent the fields for $175 a field per day.
All right. Anybody have any comments from Mr. Drew on that? And on letter M, Mr. Malavasi, does that include all your fees? Letter M, I'm sorry, I caught you cold. I'm sorry, sir.
Does that include all of what, Mayor?
Everything we're going to owe you.
Yes, sir. It's a $100,000 planning grant that we got, and that's 80% of that will be covered by NDOT, 20% by the local.
So we got a grant for 100?
Got a grant for 80, and the city will put up 20. Yes, sir.
All right. That's all the questions I have. Does anybody have any questions or comments? All right, so the motion is to approve it, everything except letter B. Is it okay with you, Alderman? Yes, sir. Is the second still good?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Motion by Alderman Bostic, second by Alderman Young. Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree. Aye. Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. All right, number 3 is the claims docket. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
I make a motion to approve the claims docket. General Fund, $848,067.22. The Library Fund, $14,593.90. The Economic Development Fund, $245.21. The Utility Fund, $364,908.81, for a total docket of $1,227,815.14.
Okay, we got a motion by Alderman Geist. Do we have a second? Second by Alderman Young. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young. Aye. Alderman Dupree. Aye. Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Nay.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye. Motion carries 6 in favor, 1 opposed. All right, number 4, special guest. Due to the weather, Chief Linville has very graciously stated that we will move the annual awards for the fire department to the first meeting in March. Thank you very much, Chief. All right, letter B, Mr. Zach. Would you come forward, please, sir? How are you, Mr. Zach? You are here to discuss wanting to be open some days, you're having to close now, is that right? All right, you got the mic.
It's Veterans Day. That's the day we give back to the veterans. We do great deals on Veterans Day, and we're having to be closed. So during Christmas, we're closed anyways, in all our locations. Thanksgiving, we're closed anyways. But yeah, just the other national holidays, we're having to be closed. It's just, driving business out of the city of Horn Lake to our other locations in the different cities. Also, it's not giving us the ability to show our patients the appreciation of them, being with us. Anybody have any questions?
So you're saying you're gonna be closed Thanksgiving?
Yeah, Thanksgiving will be closed.
And Christmas,
Correct,
but all the other national holidays, you request the board to allow you to open.
correct.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Zach? Alderman Young.
Chief, Nikki, have we had any kind of calls or any problems or anything with either one of the dispensaries in Horn Lake?
No, sir.
No break-ins, no robberies, no nothing, it's all been straight up?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Alderman Geis.
Your other locations into other cities, they don't have those same restrictions that we put on you here?
We do not have any restrictions besides what the state require us to follow in the other cities.
You've been here before and you've
Correct.
asked for some changes before.
Correct.
And I explained that when we set up this committee, some aldermen wanted more restrictions on it.
Correct.
Which basically has set you up, the ones in Horn Lake, on an unfair playing field against the other cities.
True.
So, and most of those restrictions were there because some people were afraid of a major crime wave occurring because of medical marijuana, which, of course, hasn't happened. Has it, Chief Pullen, has any major crime occurred anywhere through the city, break-ins, anything that you know of based on medical marijuana?
No, sir.
Okay. So, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion on this.
Before a motion, may I ask if you would, please?
Yes, sir.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Alderman Johnson.
Good evening, sir.
How you doing?
Will you refresh our memory on your security?
Yes. So we have a whole security plan, and I already presented it to you guys before, and we haven't had any security issues whatsoever. We have we have cameras. We got all the above. We went beyond what the state required. So as far as the security, we're A1 shape. No problem.
Anyone else? Alderman Geis, I believe you said you wanted to make a motion.
Yes, sir. I make a motion to rescind our small business restricting ordinance and convert our ordinance to comply with the state law as listed. So we don't have to, I know there'll be a process involved in that, but we need to make our business, small businesses here, operate on the same playing field as every other city. And I see absolutely no need to have you closed on days that the others aren't, that we aren't requiring any other business to be closed on. So the only one I saw some importance in was your security, and we've already handled that. So my motion is to rescind our old one and go through the process to just reestablish our ordinance under to match state law.
I
Sounds good.
second that.
Pardon?
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. We have a second by Alderman Johnson. Is there any discussion? Alderman Young.
Mr. Geis, when you say we're going to rescind it, does that mean completely to the state, so they'll be able to sell products as well as paraphernalia in their buildings?
Yes.
Very well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Alderman Dupree.
You know, I'm pretty much against all the, medical marijuana stuff, but, that's Verizon, says, can you hear me now? Okay. But, you know, I haven't had a change of heart, but on the business side, I think it's fair for you to have your business open like everybody else.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Mayor. State law doesn't provide for any days or hours that a medical dispensary has to be open. So your motion to revert to state law reverts to something that's not there. So, you know, if we proceed down that road, then they can be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if that's the will of the board.
Excuse me.
Alderman Geis, do you wish to modify motion in any way?
I have one comment if you guys don't mind.
Just a moment, please.
Yes, sir, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Did you wish to modify, or would you like me to ask Mr. Zach to speak?
Let him speak
All
on
right,
it
Mr.
first.
Zach.
Okay, so in all our other locations, we're open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. As well as most of the dispensaries in Mississippi, I see them open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. The latest I've seen one open personally is about 8 p.m. We close at 7 p.m. in DeSoto County in general. As far as state, you know, I think usually our hours of operation has to be approved by the state. So, you know, I don't know if there is like exact time where they like require us to close, but I know that from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. that's the hours we operate, and that's if you guys. That's just how, you know, that's what they, you know, that's where we put in our operational plan, and I can give you guys a copy.
Alderman Geis.
Amend my motion to have them open 9 to 7, 7 days a week.
Perfect.
Except for Christmas and Thanksgiving.
I'm not even going to say that because we don't restrict any other business to be closed at Christmas or Thanksgiving. It's just something that we hope businesses will do. So I say leave it up to the business.
So your motion is 9 to 7, 7 days a week.
Yes, sir.
Your second still good?
Yes, Mayor, do we need to add into the ability to be able to sell paraphernalia and other products?
We'll include that, Alderman Johnson. This will have to go through the process of a zoning ordinance amendment, so we'll get that in the newspaper following this meeting, and it will go before the planning commission, and you'll see it again for final approval before it's effective.
Do we need to take a vote
Yes, sir.
on the motion? Okay. All right, any more discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Jim.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Nay.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Nay.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree. Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 5 in favor, 2 opposed. Thank you, Mr. Zach.
Thank you. Y'all have a
Y'all
nice
be
day.
careful going home.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. We on letter C, Ms. Kirby Carter, speed bump or hump application. It looks like you got the whole neighborhood to sign. You did a lot of work, ma'am.
I did. You challenged me, so I went and did it.
Well, I knew you would. I have another favor to ask of you.
Yes, sir.
Could you speak up, please? I don't hear very well.
Yes. At the last meeting, I made mention about the lighting and the speeding on our street, which is Cornwall. And, I know it was passed for this, to get the 75% of the signatures on your street. And Mayor kind of called me out, and I said, you know what, I can do that. But I can't do it alone. So, I got some thoughts together and went down the street and literally just did cold calls. I just started at one end, worked my way down. I worked a little bit Thursday night after I got off work, a little bit Friday, and took care of the rest of it Saturday afternoon. I honestly am a little ashamed that I did not know more of my neighbors on my street. It's a long street, but after talking with them, developing a rapport with them, they have a lot to say and they have a lot to offer. We have 50 houses on our street from top to bottom, 49 are occupied. 75% of the signatures needed would have been 36.75, so 37 signatures. To get the 75%, I have 38 signatures. 2 said they supported me. They reached out either via my Facebook or my phone or knocking on my door, told me that they supported it, but, you know, we just don't have our schedules conflicted, or I didn't have the petition with me. So I actually have 4 others in my neighborhood that supported it. We just had different conflict of schedules. A few people didn't answer the door. And out of everyone I talked to face, the only people who said no were 2. 2 are the only ones who agreed with me that this was a joke. The stats speak highly of why I think we should do something. We didn't all agree that it has to be a speed bump, it has to be a speed hump, that it has to be rumble strips or stop sign, but we all agreed that there's a problem. And over 25,000 children are injured walking to and from school every year. That's not killed, that's just injured. That's a staggering number for our road to be right in the middle of a subdivision that is by an elementary school where the children walk home. If they don't have someone to pick them up, or they're on a bus to go at a different place like a daycare or something, they don't qualify for public transportation. So they live within that 1 mile radius, they are walking home. There are numerous kids that walk home, and a lot of the teenagers and stuff as well with the bus stops. Bus stops only stop at a certain place. They stop at this intersection here, they have to walk across the road. Many people don't even realize that stop sign's out until it's too late, because the stop sign is on the side where the sidewalk is of the road, and they're crossing the street. And we have this problem in numerous places across Horn Lake, not just my road. Out of that 25,000 kids that are injured, 100 of those die because of their injuries, if not more, but the average is 100. And then 110 children are hit by cars in parking lots or driveways in the United States every week. 110. And many people I talked to in our subdivision said it repeatedly. It's not a matter of if, but when. We have almost witnessed so many accidents. There was a little boy crossing the street on his bicycle, and he wrecked. And it was so dark out there because the light was not working. If my husband and a neighbor had not tried to stop a car, the little boy would have been ran over. So, like I said, it's not if, but when. Our road is extremely long, like I said, and in 2 different places, I had neighbors at different locations mention cars have crashed through their homes because of reckless driving over the years. 2 different locations. So it's not like it's the very same spot and it's a troublesome spot. These are 2 very different locations. Also, the sidewalks and stuff are so broken in different areas of our road that people in wheelchairs, whether they're just walking or, you know, if they're on a bike or something, they have to go out in the street to go around because they can't keep going right through there because it is so broken, grown up, sinking in. There's problems on the sidewalks. And I had a neighbor who is wheelchair bound, and the police pulled her over for being in the street on her wheelchair because she couldn't ride on the sidewalk. And she was very, she said it really bothered her because she said, what am I supposed to do? So, you know, we could have people as simple as, you know, trying to do the right thing and just out and enjoy the day that are going to get hit because of speeding if people don't slow down. Mr. Box's team was very, very kind. One lady, Miss Crystal, brought it to my attention at Carroll and Cornwall. It's a very, very dark intersection. Miss Crystal also has a daycare in her home, and her home was also one of the homes that has had a car been crashed into. So I sure would hate for a car to crash into her home and one of those kids get injured, and we knew that there was an issue and we weren't trying to do something about it. And Mr. Box's team got right on it and put the red flashing lights on the stop signs on the intersection there. And you can see them all the way from Mayfair when you look down the street now, which is nice because it at least kind of gives you a little bit more attention. But the poor lighting, we have light poles. We have lights that want to work when they want to work. So it's not necessarily a light pole issue, it's our lights flickering, which I know they said that was being looked at.
I hate to interrupt you,
Sure.
but you're on the agenda about the petition.
Yes,
Yeah,
well,
now,
and
that's another topic you're getting
that-
off on too. But Mr. Box, have you discussed this with Ms. Carter? Of the sidewalks and everything?
No, we haven't done any discussion.
Okay, well, if you
That-
would take a gander around them, please. And I've never been down this road before, so I'm going to ask
Well-
Mr. Campbell. Does the board have to vote to accept this petition? Because I know then it goes to the fire and then it goes to the police.
Yes, sir, it needs to make those rounds before the board considers it.
It has to go with the fire and the police first.
Correct.
All right. Mr. Jim, would you get a copy of this petition to Chief Pullen and Chief Limbo for me, please?
Yes, it was in the board packet. The addition to that, I can get that.
Okay. So my understanding then, it has to go to the police and has to go to the fire, and they can see if they have any problems with it. Then it comes back before the board? Okay.
But I just wanted to emphasize those things. That is part of the reason why the speeding needs to be addressed, is because more people are in the road because of other issues. But it's a big problem. I mean, it is a very big problem. We've learned to get tag numbers. So many people are doing so many things in our area that, like I said, it doesn't have to be speed bumps all over the place, but something's got to be done because it's not if, it's when. And I sure would hate for it to keep getting pushed off and somebody get injured, because something's got to be done about our road. And I think this petition shows that there's enough people on our street that care about making a difference in our community, because they deserve that.
Well, you're a good one to push it. That's why I challenged you to do it, because I knew it would get done if you got behind it. And I love in pretty weather to see people out walking. If this will encourage people to walk and get to know each other, that's a better, safer neighborhood. So I really appreciate it, and forgive my awkwardness, but this is you're the very first one to do this.
That's okay. That's
And
okay.
I had to make sure the proper procedure.
Sure.
Does anyone have any comments or discussion from Ms. Carter?
Mr. Mayor, may I make one point of?
Mr. Pence, yes, sir.
Based on what I've heard Ms. Carter present tonight, I think this is relevant that the SS4 grant that y'all just approved, that planning grant we will have public outreach, and I would encourage Ms. Carter to make sure she keeps an eye on that. It'll happen within the next 2 to 3 months. We'll be having these type scenarios where we reach out to public, just like what you're talking about, and the people that are interested, like yourself and maybe others, can come and express the needs in their areas, and that'll help us prepare this planning grant.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Do you understand?
Hey, yes, sir. Yes. And I also thank you for letting me come and talk, because I want to encourage other people in other communities. I've already had numerous people reach out and say, well, you have to get this petition, you have to do that. And I said, we've already done it. Our road has already done it. Our street has already come together to try to make a difference in our community. And that's what we're striving to do, is to try to make it better. Because Helen Keller said, you know, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. So I really, really hope y'all help us do so much.
Well, somebody's got to lead the rest of it. Thank you, Ms. Cole.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, we're down to planning. Letter A, conditional use permit for a used car dealership. This is a public hearing, which I now declare open. Where are you? All right. Y'all are representing. I want to just state that that fine gentleman back there and his wife have celebrated 62 years of marriage. That's wonderful. How she put up with you for 62 years is absolutely beyond. So congratulations. And many
Been a
more.
pleasure, sir.
Ms. Reeves, it's your floor.
Thank you, and Cindy Reeves, SR Consulting. I want to thank staff for working with us on this application.
Ma'am?
I'd like to thank the staff for working with us on this application. The fire department has just been tremendous, and if you've noticed lately, the cars and the inventory in the back has been cleaned up tremendously, and we're progressing very, very fast. And,
Interrupt you a minute.
yes, sir.
The boss man told me his goal was to clean that out completely.
Absolutely.
I can't say enough to thank the fire department and the planning board. I can't say enough to thank them. They've been better to me than I've been to my wife.
That makes 63 years.
What we would like the board to consider is, instead, the planning commission gave us 1 year conditional use permit, and we were asking for 5. There's a very large investment there. There's a commitment in order to clean up what needs to be cleaned up, and we would respectfully ask if the board could give us 5 years instead of making us come back again in a year instead of 5 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions? Alderman Klein?
Well, if, this question would be to our attorney. Is there a way that we could word it, say if we did give it 5, but if they failed to meet the criteria, that we revert back?
Yes, sir.
Is that something we could do?
Yeah, so that's the whole reason for a conditional use permit. The board can put conditions on it, and if those conditions fail, then the conditional use permit is subject to being revoked.
Revoke, period. So we don't want that to happen, but, but that's what you'd be looking at.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Alderman Young?
You're wanting to sell the buildings, right?
Yes, the storage sheds.
Right, the store, you already got the car dealership,
Yes, sir.
so you want to sell the building, which I'm not against doing that. Mr. Andrew, do they not have to have a business permit to retail the buildings? $30 or what, a $35 permit or what, don't they have to have a permit for that?
Well, the business license is tied to their business name and the location of that business, and it's whatever they report that business does, which is retail of the cars. I don't know exactly when the sheds popped up, but
You don't know what, sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
when the sheds popped up, exactly when they popped up, if it was after they applied for their business license. But the way our current business licenses work, there's only a tiny little spot, like literally like a 1-inch blank for what the business is. And typically it's so small, most places just write sales or car dealership or retail or whatever, and when you enter it into the computer system, our computer system doesn't even have the same categories as our use chart, so there's literally no way to go back a few years and look at what exactly they were permitted to sell for that business. Like, there's absolutely no way to do it.
So we don't use the NCI codes?
No, our Munis Systems business categories don't match our use chart, and
That's
so,
what I'm saying, so we don't use the NCI codes.
no, there's no way to go back and see what they were
And
approved.
I'm not asking you to go back, we're looking forward at what, I'm not against it.
Thank you.
I just wanna make sure you're legal so that whoever sits on this board next year
Yeah.
doesn't come back and say, oh, y'all gotta shut down because you ain't got a business license. That's where I'm going here.
And so
Understand that. See, I called and asked before I set the buildings there.
yeah, the reason I wrote the report this way, we purposely decided to put the sheds in the request. That way, they can't be penalized for selling the sheds.
Right, so it just says retail, it doesn't say car sales.
On the business license,
Their current business, it just doesn't say car sales or retail.
I'll have to go back and look at that, because,
I would just make a suggestion, $35 would be a very cheap
That's fine.
amount to pay for that permit. If it says car sales, I would think we need to get one for retail, just to protect you, because you know how the car laws are. They're pretty strict, they're pretty strict. So just, if you could just please just check that. I don't want these people to have to come back and say, you SOBs, y'all did this and y'all didn't do this. Let's just do our homework. An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure.
I mean, the business licenses really, the way our current business licenses are, they're not really going to be intertwined with the request here. Like, yes, they're asking to get a conditional use permit for used car sales and sheds, but sheds aren't mentioned in our use chart. And so really what triggered this coming to the board tonight was the sale of used cars. So with them also selling the sheds, I asked them to add that into the request, but what they're getting tonight's gonna be a conditional use
I
permit.
understand that, yes, sir, I understand that. I got that.
So if you want us to add it on to the business license, I mean, we'll write it in there, but
Somehow, I don't want them to get in trouble later, because, I mean, we're gonna be changing here, and I don't want, these are good folks, and I don't want them getting any kind of trouble. Just look at it and research it, and if we have to do that, let's do it. If not, let's make sure that they understand we don't have to do it. Let's get it noted somewhere in the minutes or somewhere, okay?
when
We'll be
did y'all
glad to follow.
renew, what month did y'all renew for the business license?
I think it's in June.
Okay, we'll make sure it matches up when that time comes.
That'll work.
I just don't want them to redo their business license if they've already done it.
No, I don't wanna do that either, but let's make sure we know when they come due, if we have to have an additional one.
There was a glitch in the computer system here for the license, so
Right.
we had we called y'all, and we done whatever y'all told us to do.
Yes, the business license is separate from this request. It's
Yeah.
two separate applications.
But I don't remember she done that, I don't, but we was in order, whatever.
Yeah, I just don't want y'all to get in trouble later on.
I'm
Absolutely.
glad to do that.
So,
It would be
thank you,
better.
Mr. Andrew. Thank y'all very much.
Thank
I'm
you.
all for this.
Thank
Okay.
you.
See, that would separate the two. I'm for that.
You got two different line items in here.
Yeah.
What Alderman Young referring to, there will be three new aldermen up here, three aldermen not seeking reelection, nor mine. So it's gonna be a lot of change come July the 1st, and he's just trying to protect y'all.
Absolutely.
We don't know, we're just trying to protect you.
We appreciate that very, very much.
Anyone else have any, Alderman Bledsoe?
When they say used cars, you're talking about people that can go down the street driving the car, not one just sitting out there. It's a used car, but it won't run. We
No.
went through this before down there where the auction used to be. We didn't want a hunk of junk sitting there, and then they try to sell it, 'cause if you go up Memphis, you'll see a bunch
Yeah.
of that.
All of my cars for sale is gonna be out front. I'm not gonna use the back anymore for a bunch of stuff. It just got away from me, to tell you the truth. There was repos, and I go to sale and buy 5 cars, 2 of them be bad. I just run them back there. That's what it was. It wasn't a profit-making deal, but it was okay in the end. But I'm not gonna use that back there anymore for storing cars. I may have 30 back there, to bring that front, but as far as driving down through there, you can drive down through there and turn around anywhere from now on.
Okay, I just don't want it to look
I
like
understand
a
what you're
bad
saying.
used car.
Right.
Won't happen.
And we'll make it very safe.
The thing, the
Make sure
fire
it's
department, real quick, Mayor, if I can. When we met with them and, yeah. It's just being able to get a fire truck back there. You know, we had a car burn back there and 4 or 5 burn up on the other side of the fence. It wasn't on your side.
I know.
But that was our concern. If you get cars on fire back there, it's gonna be like Los Angeles and the whole lot's gonna burn up. So that's all we were trying to do. We
I
couldn't
know
get
what
back
I-
there. We
and I
couldn't make an
appreciate it.
attack on that. It was, we couldn't even get through the gate.
I
But
know
it's a
that.
lot changed in the last month. Thank you.
But
It's a lot better.
we're gonna try,
You were a hoarder, you were just hoarding cars.
yeah, we're gonna try to get every car out of there this month. Because the man I sold them to has got them sold. Now, he had 4 trailer trucks in there a day, and they hauled 9 apiece, and they hauled 4 loads apiece. So, that's 100 today, or over 100, and he'll be back. So, we're gonna get it cleaned up. I'm gonna clean it all the way, you can drive a circle.
Thank you very much.
And I appreciate y'all again putting up with me. You know, all of you, I can't express how much y'all have helped the country boy. Come to Horn Lake, you know, you've just been, I couldn't ask for anything.
You've always been straight up. We might not have agreed on certain things, but you've never been devious in your
If you don't want to know the truth, don't ask me.
Alderman Geis.
I just have a question for Andrew. You mentioned that the use codes don't have sheds or portable buildings listed. Is that something we need to change? Or is that a new comprehensive plan, or?
I mean, we can absolutely add this to the ordinance later, but at the same time, I believe you can also put it in the motion tonight. But yes, it is not listed as a use in our use chart, specifically the sale of sheds outdoors on a commercial lot or on any lot.
Have you encountered any other business types that you're missing in the use codes?
Yes, so, do you mean?
Could you, if you have others, you know, I'd say we present it at another meeting and we can change it or whatever we need to do to get our ordinances up to date on what's potentially being sold.
Yes, that's totally doable. We also have Ronnie Rhoda selling sheds on outdoors. We have Tractor Supply, and we have Home Depot doing the same thing as well. But we all felt like if we just presented it and we're just honest about what is going to be for sale, and you know the board has the ability to pick just the cars or cars and sheds. We believe the board can do whatever it pleases on those 2 options.
I tell you, those buildings brings in quite a bit of revenue for the city.
Nice sales tax.
We've built pretty good. You know, I didn't ever want to sell them, but I saw them going up, and I said, well, I'm as good a salesman as they are. Let's just put them in there. So we did. It's pretty good for the city.
Yes, sir, it has been. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? I neglected to ask y'all this. Would you please give your name and address so we can have it for the minutes, please? Would you tell Mr. Jim over here?
Yes, sir. Cindy Reeves, SR Consulting, 5909 Shelby Oaks Drive, Suite 200, Memphis, Tennessee.
Bart Thomas, City Construction and Development, 6245 Greenlee, Suite 101, Arlington, Tennessee, 38002.
Dwayne Bradbury, Commerce Street, Hernando, Mississippi, Cars Unlimited.
Did you get them all, Mr. Jim? Yes, sir. Thank y'all. I
you.
Any more discussion?
Mayor,
Alderman Young.
seeing how none of them live in Horn Lake, let's double their retail tax.
I gave my business address.
Do we have a motion? Mr. Billy?
I paid a ticket the other day for speeding, that covers.
That'll cover it. Yeah.
Mr. Campbell had something.
I'm gonna yield to Mr. Hawkinsmith, but we also need to make sure nobody in the public has any yays or nays against this application.
And to add on to that, since it is a public hearing, the public needs to know what the request is. And so I should at least read the introduction on what this request is, so that way people can speak on it.
You want to do that now?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, sir.
All right, this case is a request for a conditional use permit for a used car dealership, as well as a request to sell sheds and other storage buildings at 6723 Highway 51 North. This business was previously granted a conditional use permit for a used car dealership for a period of 5 years from the date of January 21st, 2020. This conditional use permit has now expired, and the company is requesting a new conditional use permit for their new business model of selling sheds and storage structures. And the official use classification of this land will still be a used car dealership, as there's no category in the use chart that mentions the sale of sheds outdoors. But the planning department desires for the Board of Aldermen to specify in a motion if this additional use may be allowed as well, since our use chart does not give this guidance on what to tell the applicant regarding shed sales. And so this is a C4 zone. The adjacent lots to it are C4 and M1. So even though this is a commercial lot, and even though it is very industrial in nature, it's surrounded by industrial lots. So make what you want of that if that's an issue or not. The planning staff did present it to the Planning Commission, and they looked at issues such as traffic hazards, fire hazards, it affecting the character of the neighborhood, it affecting the general welfare of the city, it overtaxing public utilities or community facilities, and whether or not it's in conflict with the comprehensive plan. We talked with the fire department on any potential fire violations. The fire department has worked with the applicant on moving the cars and getting a path for any fire apparatus to move through it. We've suggested to the company put everything in stacks of 2, put the cars in stacks of 2 all the way down. That way there's no more than 2 per row together all the way down. And that way any emergency vehicle can go through the lot. We've told them, give us a site plan for a parking layout, keep your cars within those parking spots. And then the Planning Commission did recommend a 1-year conditional use permit. But now for the board's review, the board needs to look at off-street parking and loading areas, refuse and service areas, utilities with reference to locations, availability, and compatibility, screening and buffering with reference to type, dimensions, and character, required yards and other open space, general compatibility with adjacent properties and other property in the zone district, and any other provisions deemed applicable by the governing authority. And so as far as these criteria that the board looks at, the planning department staff at the time of this report was requesting clarification on the size of the handicap parking spaces and the exact locations and dimensions of the other parking spaces. Since the writing of this report, they have turned in a new site plan with handicap spaces and parking spaces that are up to code. We find no issues regarding letters B, C, D, E, and F. And as I said, letter G is open for discussion as to what the board wants. And then the Planning Commission brought up alleged pollution issues, as well as previous ongoing fire violations. Chief Linville did make some comments about the ongoing progress on site. And the planning department will continue to communicate with code enforcement and the fire department on anything that they request us to enforce. As far as that concludes the presentation.
Thank you, sir. Before, did y'all have anything else you want to say to the board before we ask the public if any of them?
No, sir, just if we could have 5 years.
The rest of the legs. Now, this is a public hearing.
Thank you.
Is there anyone out there to speak either in favor of this application or in opposition to it? No one? Public hearing is now closed. Oh, yes, sir, okay. Public hearing is now open. Yes, sir, come on. Please give your name and they know, give it for official.
Nobody knows me, Mayor. Prentice Mitchell, 3774 Conrail Circle. I'm in support of this request for the applicant. I think they are already selling these houses or units or sheds or storage sheds, and they pose no problem. It's a retail environment, and I think they should be able to use their property for retail purposes. There's nothing in the code that prevents it. So I'm in support of it.
Anybody have any questions, Mr. Mitchell? Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, this public hearing is now closed. Do we have a motion? Alderman Mossy.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve case number 2024-167 for a conditional use permit for 5 years for Cars Unlimited.
Does he need to include about the sheds and things? Did you wish to include about the?
Yeah, yes, to include the sale of the storage sheds also.
Do we have a motion by Alderman Bostic? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Young. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Thank you all for coming tonight. Y'all please make sure Mr. Bradbury gets home safely.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all very much. Tell Mr. Bob hello, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all. Good night, sir. Good night. All right. We have another public hearing, which I now declare open, for a car wash, which is located right next to City Hall. Sir, would you please give your name and address in minutes, please?
My name is Colton Snyder. Address is 1591 East Pratersville Road, Columbia, Missouri, 65202.
What was the name of the road, sir?
Pratersville.
All right, you may proceed, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I believe I typically always do the case presentation.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Let me interrupt you. Is anything falling outside? There's not much to put us in the traffic hazard.
Memphis City Schools just closed for tomorrow.
Sir,
All Memphis and Shelby County Schools just closed for tomorrow.
right now, there's nothing, a driving hazard to go home right now.
There was some coming down when I was there.
All right.
when I looked at the radar today, Horn Lake's kind of in.
Yeah, but I was talking about right now.
Yes, sir. I just mean all around Horn Lake. It's been coming down.
Mr. Dupree, is anything falling out there?
Mr. Eagles going out to look.
Okay. Mr. Colton, you have the floor. No, excuse me, Mr. Andrew, you've got the floor.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This case is a request for conditional use permit for a car wash at 3091 Goodman Road West. The site was previously a car wash owned by a different company who stopped operation and left in 2023. Club Car Wash purchased this site and is wishing to use the same building for the same use. So this property is zoned C4. The adjacent parcel consisting of a shopping center is also C4. So the zoning is the same all around. For the planning staff review, planning staff had the planning staff looked at anything fitting with the current codes, and then presented this to the planning commission, who then looked at if it will substantially increase traffic hazards or congestion, substantially increase fire hazards, adversely affect the character of the neighborhood, adversely affect the general welfare of the city, overtax public utilities or community facilities, or be in conflict with the comprehensive plan. When reviewing each of these items, the planning department staff concluded that using this building for a car wash, again, would not cause any of the issues in letters A through F. And likewise, the planning commission did not raise any objections to the applicant based on this criteria. Now what the board has to look at is anything relating to the off-street parking and loading areas, refuse and service areas, utilities with reference to locations, availability, and compatibility, screening and buffering with reference to type, dimensions, and character, required yards and other open space, general compatibility with adjacent properties and other property in the zone district, and any other provisions deemed applicable by the governing authority. So the planning department staff did not see any issues with these criteria as well. There's plenty of space for on-site parking. There's a dumpster area already on site, which includes the proper screening. There's no apparent issues with required yard space and open space. This use appears to be very compatible with the car-centric commercial shopping center it is adjacent to, and overall there does not appear to be any major area of concern for this proposal. We believe if there was any issue for a car wash operating there, we would have heard about it with the previous company that operated there. And the planning commission recommended approval for this unanimously. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, sir. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Andrew? Alderman Johnson.
Mr. Andrew, you said the previous owner of this establishment left in 2023?
Yes, it appears they left in 2023. According to our current system, businesses really aren't forced to tell us when they close down. I think we all just noticed one day the place went empty, and we're not sure why.
Yes. Do we have any criteria on businesses that shut down that way? That was certainly an eyesore there. Since this young man took over, it's looking wonderful. I'm so thankful that it's the same business going in there. But is there a criteria that we put on businesses like this, or any business that leaves and has, you know, the landscape looking bad?
Yes, if I remember correctly, I believe we can still go to vacant sites and enforce any property maintenance issues.
Thank you.
You're suggesting they have to notify us if they can close. I don't think that's ever been a practice in any business. They just shut down, go. Some of them overnight. Anybody else have any questions or comments for Mr. Andrew? Mr. Colton?
Yes, sir.
Your turn now.
I apologize, this is my first one of these meetings, but I'm here for the CUP application to keep the car wash, essentially a car wash. Club Car Wash has over 200 locations throughout the Midwest. We've been successful at all of those locations and keeping them alive and growing. We try to make our facilities look top-notch and very appealing to the public, and then of course keep the customers happy and satisfied with clean cars. So we're really excited for the opportunity to come to Horn Lake and get to wash some cars around here.
Yes, sir. Anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Colton? Alderman Bledsoe?
Is it going back like the one that was there, that's got the vacuum cleaners and all that? But I see all of them disappeared.
Yeah, so part of our scope of work that we'd like to get conducted there is upgrading the vacuum system. So we put in a different brand that actually has a bigger suction pipe for the central vac. So it'll pull around 65, 70 PSI. So it has some very good suction. But yes, there will be the customer vacuums in the vacuum lot. Yes, sir.
Alderman Johnson?
What makes you different on that corner? What makes your business different than any other car wash or that car wash that left? What are you gonna do differently for us?
Yes, ma'am. So, Club Car Wash, we do a few things within the industry to help us stand out from our competitors. One of them is our bumper-to-bumper prep. So, we actually have attendants that are paid, of course, to do a pre-wash before they send your vehicle through the car wash equipment. So they'll spray the bugs off and the heavy dirt and grime before they send you through the car wash to get the soap applied, and then the brushes and everything, and then the rest of the chemistry to get your car dry. We also have a sales associate that we greet all of our customers with at the pay stations, helping them pick which wash or which plan they'd like to do for the day. We have the top-of-the-line vacuum system that we monitor frequently, so there's not any vacuum hoses laying on the ground, because that's very inconvenient as a customer to pull up to a vacuum stall and the suction's not working. So we take a lot of pride in just having service associated within the industry. I believe that's one of our bread and butters, and that's why it's helped us get to the point where we're at now.
Will you keep your equipment working in top order for everyone to be serviced, not sitting there inoperable?
How will we keep it, or will we keep it? I'm sorry.
Will you, and how?
Yes, ma'am. So we have preventative maintenance. It's all planned out through a software that we teach all of our operation team to use. And it's basic maintenance such as greasing and maintaining the belts and everything of that sort. But we also practice tunnel walks to where we have our attendants safely walk the tunnel to make sure the equipment is operating. And then we have maintenance teams as well. So the city of Memphis is where this maintenance team would be out of, and they will come and fix any problems that the car wash may have. We plan to put brand new car wash equipment in there whenever we hopefully get granted the CUP and the building permit and such. So it'll all be brand new, and we'll maintain it from the brand new state.
Thank you.
Alderman Dupree.
I want to follow up with Alderman Johnson. The previous owner of that car wash, you can go through there and it would be shut down every other day, or the vacuum cleaners would not be working, hoses just thrown everywhere. So I was wanting to know the same thing as Alderman Johnson. Are you going to keep this up? And if there is a problem, how long will it take to get that problem fixed? Because we've had an issue with that over there being down for months, and they finally come along and fix it, and breaks down again. It's just it's a constant thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you guys have all probably experienced from your comments so far, car washes, they get a lot of wear and tear. I mean, it's a wet environment and everything of that sort. We as in Club Car Wash, we have 2 warehouses throughout the Midwest that we actually house several thousands of dollars worth of parts in, and that we can ship out to get fixed for the locations if they have something that's down. That's from big motors to small motors to fittings and everything of that sort. So we do a lot of stock on hand, quote unquote, instead of having to go through the manufacturer to get parts to fix and get the car wash up and operating order.
My second question is, what type of filtration system do you have for the chemicals before it gets into the ground?
They have the sediment filters, the tanks in the ground, and they stair step down as they go out. But their dilution is very, very minimal. We mix them at a low dilution rate, or the dilution is very low whenever we apply them onto the car. It's the foam from the air agitation that makes it look like there's a lot. But whenever you incorporate the rinsing water and the prep gun water from spraying off the bugs and the mud and all that such, the dilution coming out is minimal.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? You requested conditional use for the duration of the ownership
Yes, sir.
instead of a certain number of years, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I always liked it the other way, because you might want to sell it in the meantime.
No, we don't plan on selling it. So we have yet to sell any location that we've bought, and like I said, we got over 200.
Strictly your decision, sir.
Well, if I got to make it work and keep it working and keep the customers back, so the last thing we're gonna do is give up.
Is sir, we'll ask, if you have a seat, we'll ask the public. Anyone in the public have any, comments or questions? Or please come forward in favor or opposed to this. Good evening, sir. I think we know your name, sir.
Yes, sir. Grant Harlow, 2590 Church Road. Start off to say that I am a full-blooded capitalist, and this is a perfect example of capitalism at work. I've heard the board mention about things that sounded like management or mismanagement, for a lack of better words, and when mismanagement happens, businesses go out of business. Then somebody else sees an opportunity, like the gentleman that preceded me up here, and comes and injects capital back into it, benefits to the city, and gets it back up and going. So I am in full favor of this. I know there's some citizens that think maybe we got too many car washes, but it's actually more convenient for me where I live to go to South Haven. So I would welcome to see this one back up and running, generating revenue for the city.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else, anybody have any questions or comments? Anyone else wish to speak in favor or in opposition? All right, this public hearing is now closed. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Boston.
yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve case number 2025-003 for a conditional use permit for the applicants of Club Car Wash for the duration of the ownership.
We have a motion by Alderman Boston. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bledsoe. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree. Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Chief Fuller, you ever heard anything about the roads being bad, have you? No, sir. Okay. All right, number 6, new business. I requested that the request for $5,000 for the Palmer Hall be added here instead of the consent agenda. It's a wonderful, wonderful site. Y'all also, all the literature. Is there anyone here to represent the Palmer Home? The reason I brought this out here, it's a $5,000 request. It's not in the city of Horn Lake. I know the House of Grace isn't either, but it's not in the city of Horn Lake, and I think one of the requirements was to list the financials, wasn't it? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was not in the packet I saw, was it in there?
No, everything that they sent was in the board packet.
So they didn't send a request about financials?
No, they just showed what financial contributions they've received in the past from the city.
Sir?
They just showed what they've received in the past from the city of Horn
I
Lake.
missed it. Whereabouts in here is it?
That is typically on the first and second page. Let me go back to that.
I have a question that they moved from the consent over to the just here at the board. Financial? No, this, I requested this be moved on from consent agenda over to you this year, this meeting. It was, and I asked to move it. Because does anybody see anything dollars and cents in there? I must have missed it.
It is, sorry. It's on the written section that they fill out. Sorry. The very first page, about 7 items down, total amount received, $2,400 in 2023.
$2,400?
Yes. In 2023, the board did help sponsor the Mudbug Bash, and that was.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought this was the total they received a year from everyone, and I didn't see that. I thought that was the intent of the,
Yeah, the application asked for previous funds received. They checked yes, 2023, and then they listed the amount of 2,400 for 2023.
See, I understood it to mean total they received from everybody, and they interpreted it to say what we gave in the past, which was, open to interpretation. But anyway, since they're not in Horn Lake, they requested $5,000, I thought maybe the board might want to look at that, or just go ahead and approve it, whatever y'all want to do.
Mayor,
Alderman Young.
we don't have anybody here from the Palmer home to talk to us. So can we just move this maybe for another month or 6 weeks or whatever away and contact them and say, they need to be here? And they need, and they need to bring, as you described, they need to bring more than what, we know what we got, and that's not what we're asking them. So I would just like to move it back about 6 weeks, whatever, give them time to develop their,
Second meeting in March.
that'd be fine with me if it's okay with everybody else.
Is that all right with everybody? All right. Mr. Jim, would you contact them to please, have somebody here the second meeting in March?
Yes, sir.
Because I think one of the things they push is the mud bug bash, and that's not till April. So this gives the board time to make their decision ahead of time. Okay. Anybody have anything related to that topic? All right, citizens' remarks. Thank you, Mr. Jim. Yes, sir. Mr. Hoss, you're up.
Make a motion to adjourn.
3 minutes.
It's like it's getting that far. How y'all doing? Everybody good? Everybody good? Okay. Well, I wished I hadn't told my wife that this was on a YouTube channel. Yeah. Now she makes me sign in when I want to say something. But you know what? She don't ever call my name. Anyway, I want to tell you, they had a court date today. Like I say, Alderman Geis, thank you for your information there. At the first, you said the wheels of government turn slow. Well, I can make a wheel but we're working on it. So anyway, I just want to let y'all know that's where we're at right now. It is moving it's moving slow. But I want to tell you how much I appreciate y'all's help, and thank you very much. And I'm starting to see a lot more police officers up and down my street, and it's good. I just like to see them. Not the times they come to my house when I've set the alarm off, but that's another story. But but anyway, I just want to let y'all know it is moving, and I thank you very much for your help. All right, thank you. I'll get out of your way.
Thank you, Mr. Hobbs.
All right, thank y'all.
Ms. Carter, did you have anything else, ma'am?
Repeat and repeat.
Ma'am?
Repeat and repeat. Yes, sir. I had a citizen come up to me and talk to me this weekend, and it actually had to do with code enforcement. They were very concerned, felt very intimidated. They're elderly, so elderly person, it doesn't take a lot to make them feel very vulnerable. Code enforcement came, they were at home, cars were in the driveway. They put the notification, it was something about the fence on the door. Nobody knocked on the door or anything. So they could have easily knocked and just explained what the code violation was or the concern and what to do, but instead they were fearful, didn't know what to do, bad weather was coming, am I gonna go to jail, am I gonna get fined? They're elderly, they gotta find someone to do it. So I just wanted to bring it and just ask, do they not normally knock on the door anyways? I don't think that's very open to the citizens, because I can slap a Post-it on anybody and you can take it for what it's worth. You don't really know exactly what it is. And then if it's on a Friday, you might not be able to catch anyone for a day or two, because the weekends are probably harder to get a hold of someone than a Monday through Friday. So I just wanted to bring it up. I think that would be very courteous to our citizens as well if you were to at least attempt a knock on the door to explain the violation. I would expect someone to do the same for me. If they come to my home and they see my cars and things there, they could at least explain why they're putting this sticker on my door. Otherwise, I might not even know it's there if you didn't at least give me a courtesy knock or something. Absolutely.
It's not safe for the code officer. So it's a double-edged sword is what it is. But you say it would be nice if everyone were like the people you're talking about. But not everyone is that way.
Is there a way, I'm sorry.
One of our code officers actually had people follow them to their house, upset about stuff. So they have to be on their toes at all times, Ms. Carter.
I understand. I'm a nurse, so I get it. But is there a way that maybe they can look at their forms and maybe they can be a little bit more explanatory than just being so vague? Just an idea.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, anything for Ms. Carter? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Department heads. Oh, Mr. Daniel? Okay. Mr. Daniel, you are first, sir. Update. Did you get that, thing I sent you this morning about the legislature?
Yes, sir.
House Bill 1380, I don't know whether it pertained, you want to look at it or not.
I did get a chance to look at that. Basically, it looks like they're trying to set up litigation or laws that would make us not liable if we were in compliance, which is part of our discussion tonight.
And you're getting us in compliance.
I'm working on that every day.
Floor is yours, sir.
Yes, well, thank you. And thank you, Alderman, for allowing me back today. I just wanted to go through update on what some of the projects we talked about last November, I guess, when I was here, and where we are, and give you a little bit better description of what the CIO, CSO job is about, or title, or responsibilities. So the current projects that we're working on now, we're finishing up the gate projects at the parks. We've got a couple technical difficulties there with the wireless and the gate exit reader working properly, but we've got the crews working on that. Weather's kind of slowed that down. Public Works gate is about to be, the motorized gate is about to be installed. Camera and door access, low voltage at the new shelter, we've already laid that out. We've got the wiring pre-wired for it. We'll be putting together the order for the equipment there. Oracle Finance, the planning department, Camino software, we're still working. But let me go on to my next slides, I guess. I was getting ahead of myself. This is kind of just a quick overview of what your parks camera systems look like now. As you can see, we plan on adding more. Drew has expressed the need for the handicap playground to get some cameras down there to take care of it. He sees some issues already. So we're working on, once we get the gate down there done and the wireless set up down there, we'll be able to bring the cameras into play. This is your Public Works facility now. They used to have maybe 3 cameras at work, Stephen. We've been able to isolate 2 or 3 different incidents where there were some dogs that caused some problems on the lot, somebody slipped and fell, some other issues. But we've pretty much got a bird's eye of everything. The key to this also is this is a file cabinet, which has PII, or private information, in it. We've now got a camera on it, so if somebody goes in the file cabinet or whatnot, we can now document that, which puts Stephen in better compliance. He pointed that out to us, and we got that added pretty quick. The only cameras that are lacking there right now is we're going to put a 4-way view underneath his shed in the center there, so he'll be able to have a dome view of all of his equipment that he parks under the lean-to. This is a couple more shots of it. As you can see, caught this guy sneaking out early. This is basically the layout of the new shelter and the markings of all the low voltage. We've got it pretty much ironed out. There was a couple things that got closed up before we were able to specify exactly with Barry what needed to be done, but those got taken care of. So we're looking forward to getting that ready. The current software projects, Oracle Finance, we're making some progress there. We've had some delays because of illnesses and other family issues and some vacation time, but we've got it back on track, I think. The Camino is actually moving forward as well. We had a good meeting today with the rental manager, Tammy, on making sure she's going to have her needs done. I have the engineers from Oracle and Camino in discussions, and we've started the web testing for the web portal that citizens or businesses will be able to use to buy their permits, going on as well right now. Utilities and the utility billing software, we've begun that project. We're actually ahead of schedule there. Rodney's been wonderful in providing information, and I appreciate Stephen for allowing him the time to do it. But he's met and exceeded every data call. He's gotten the previous vendor involved, and they've given all the information. And also we've got one call on with certified payments for the credit card interface that'll be available by web as well for payment. The Easy Pay will go away that BBI had. HR migration has just started. AJ is going to have her kickoff meetings next week, I believe, and we've already started to answer some of the data calls there. Court software, we received one quote, and I've reached out to Tara expressing that we need to get a second one. We had one company in last week that I'd found, but they didn't do felony booking, which I didn't know that would be something that court software wouldn't do. But so we've got 2 or 3 other companies. I'm waiting for her to give me a little bit of feedback there to see which one we can go with. And that leads us up to our security assessment. Yes, sir.
So, Ms. Starr is on top of working with you to get some more quotes.
I have sent her the list of 3 other companies I found that look like they handle everything. I've not heard back directly from that.
How long ago did you send that?
Sent that out maybe last Wednesday, a week ago Wednesday. Yeah. I know it's a long weekend and whatnot, but I think, if I don't hear anything in the next day or so, then I'll schedule a demo like I did with the last one. I'll just push it forward. So now the security assessment. I've met with both of the companies that are going to do this, and it's kind of a 2-pronged piece. The CIO, CSO job description is really, most companies have a separate CIO, CSO position, then you have your different IT heads or managers below it. The difference with a CIO or a CSO, the Chief Information Officer and Chief Security Officer, is the control of data. And so data is not just electronic. It is the files. It is everything that we store in any way, shape, or form with the city. As we've gone through and prepared for this assessment, it's become really evident to me that nobody holds the keys to all of our compliance. I will hear word of mouth of we have to keep this for this many years or this many years, but there's no document, there's no physical system in place for managing that data, making sure it's being destroyed when it needs to be destroyed, and that it is being kept secure. And that's part of where the 2-prong compliance that we're going through is going to be looked at. We will go through and do an assessment of everything we have here. We're asking each department head to tell us what data they have, what they understand is their compliance. And then we're going to, with InfoSec, go back look at those compliances and put a document together of this is what we're storing, this is where we're storing it, this is how long we're storing it, and this is when we're gonna get rid of it. Having things scattered through the city without cameras and stuff like that on them is gonna have to stop. So that's where these titles come from. When you go through compliance, state level, or even criminal justice level, they want to know who is signing off on this. Okay? So I'm putting my neck out there because I'm signing off on this saying that Daniel Finestone is verifying that this is being stored and this is being purged and this is being taken care of. I don't have that autonomy now. I can't tell other departments that they're doing it right or wrong. I can only make suggestions. But I don't think suggestions have been working in the past. So it's either you bring somebody in to do this, or I assume these responsibilities, follow the compliance, sit down with the department heads, figure out whatever compensating controls we can put in place, but the enforcement's gonna have to take place. So that was the main focus of this. And I've said it before, IT isn't just changing passwords, making sure the printer prints. It has morphed since 2000 or the 90s. Now everything is data, and where is the data, and how is the data. Hackers don't care if you're a small municipality or if you're an individual. They just want to figure out a way to steal your money or steal your information and resell it. And there's a lot of data that can be stolen and sold. So.
Are you suggesting then that perhaps we'll have a meeting with you and all the department heads to get this?
We are. We're going to. I have two companies. So one of them is going to go through all the compliance with us. They're going to sit down. We're going to do data calls with each department head. And I guess I can get a little bit more down in my slides. So this is InfoSight. And I don't know if you can see it well, but the highlighted things are just some of the things that we're going to go over by department. And that is the data destruction policy, data management policy, facility access policy. All of these items are going to be gone over by department, by personnel, and we're going to sign off on how we're doing it and making sure that it fits CGIS or HIPAA or whatever it is.
Sorry, I was making it bigger.
Oh, we'll make it bigger. Like down here, you see it's regulatory standards. We're going to come up with a risk management. Risk management policies are, if everything goes down, what do we want up first? What do we want up second? How, you know, we've talked a little bit about risk with like the court system Linux server. If it goes away, there's no recovery for it. So I see that as a major risk. We're going to dissect all these pieces in the city by doing this. This is what we signed on for when we started the compliance search. These are just some more, how we report incidents, our backup and disaster recovery procedures, how often we're doing backup and recovery testing. We've recently gotten a server in to where we can actually do a real-time disaster recovery. And be able to time that and see how long it's going to take to get a server back up from the cloud. IT budgeting plans, they want to know how much you're putting towards security. They want to know, you know, where your focus is there for state compliance. This is one of the requests for information, and we ran this scan last week, but it is every version, as you can see, of Adobe that is installed on a machine in our network. And it looks at every piece of software that's installed on every one of our machines. So if there's shareware or something that shouldn't be installed or we should have standardized, we're going to know about it, we're going to deal with it, and, you know, come up with the best case solutions. But these are things that we have to be able to identify. This is, I can't even see that. Devices, yeah. So that's a list of all of our devices, what operating system they're running on. Windows 10 goes away in October. We've got roughly 30 Windows 10 machines, I think, left. Everything else was able to be upgraded to 11. So we'll look at replacing those and not, like when I came in, having Windows XP machines still on the network that were supposed to have been gone 10, 15 years ago. So this is kind of where we need to go. We're going to get our assessment completed. At the same time, we have a company named Arctic Wolf. Arctic Wolf is going to be scanning our network 24/7, 365. It's going to look for any software packet, malware, ransomware, anything like that that comes across our network. They're looking at it. If a machine starts triggering like it's sending out because they know the hacker websites overseas, they work with NSA, then they'll know that that machine is infected. We'll get an alert here. They will have the ability to block those packets immediately. They are also passing on a $10 million, I believe it was, on our contract. I'd have to go back and look at it, but liability insurance as well with that. But they are with us every step of the way. So we will have an encyclopedia set of how we do everything inside of the city of Horn Lake, how we store our data, where that data is stored, dates and times that we're going to get rid of the data, purging of it. Everything there will be documented. We'll have disaster recovery procedures and policies in place. We'll have a new computer use policy in place. Everything will be, change management, which I've talked about with a lot of people. Anytime we want to lock something down, it's going to be written down why it was locked down, who wanted it locked down, and what repercussions it could have. It's going to be tested and implemented. So that's the assessment, and that's going to be your security, and that will be ongoing. We're going to be locking down privileges. We're going to make sure that we have a reason for somebody having extra privileges and not just because they think they should. All of our data policies. We're next going to Oracle Finance training is going to start probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I think we're scheduling to get people on site for that. We've got to get the court software identified so we can get that interface built, and the planning and utility billing software implemented and live. So that was as quick as I could do it.
Well, you've been very easy and very thorough, sir. You office department head, you already contacted them about the need for a meeting?
We haven't started scheduling that piece out. I'm still building. They've got a lot of RFI questions for me on the network, and I've got to build that out. And then I'm giving them some of the information that I put out for request of, like, what software do you have to have? And I sent out another one. Oh yes, which compliances do you know about, so I don't miss one? They think they know, but I want to make sure that I've got, what everybody else thinks that we need. And then we'll start addressing what we have to do with it.
Well, I'm sure all of our department heads realize just how important this is.
Oh, yes.
Willing to meet with you and cooperate and get all this lined out.
It's a huge.
The day and age we live in is very frightening. People can just steal everything from you.
Oh, yeah.
Or create many, many problems.
Yes, they can. And everybody's being very cooperative. It's a pretty big undertaking, but we're going to get it done. I'm hoping by June, July 1 that this will all be in place, documented and ready to go.
We're blessed to have such department heads that realize the importance of this. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Daniel? Mr. Jim?
Yes, I just wanted to state, since the city clerk's office is required to be the record keeper. And I will pass along to Daniel. We do have a records retention schedule. This is a 70-page document that tells us every single document, how long we're supposed to keep it, and all the requirements to it. That's according to statute 3959, and it. I'll pass this along because it covers every department,
Okay.
so he'll have that.
Yep, that's what I need to get to them.
Bureaucratic red tape. Now, we got a 70-page document telling us what we have to keep.
Yes. And I've got to look at that and tell you how we're going to keep it.
That is absolutely baffling.
Mayor?
Alderman Klein.
So where does that information come? Does that come from the archives of the state?
Yes, it is with the state of Mississippi.
Okay, thank you.
And that gets updated all the time, just like the new statute they're passing. The main thing they were saying is, and the state has been trying to, they're gonna wait for us to do our investigations and lockdowns before they come in and scan the network. But if you are meeting all the compliance, then you'll fall under the liability. What I've learned from that in the past with payment card industry and credit card stuff, there was the same type of compliance. You had tier 1, 2, and 3, depending on your volume. When we were at their headquarters in California, the attorneys argued with them that we got certified by a third party yesterday, I get hacked today, why are you holding me liable? And they said, well, obviously you weren't doing everything you needed to. So they would still fine them. And that's where it gets your definition of is. And all we can do is try and give that best definition. I'll let Billy talk about that further if he needed to.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
Yep.
Thank you so much for all you do, Mr. Daniel.
Thank you, and sorry to,
Thorough report.
yes.
Mr. Bree, you stepped out a while ago. Is there anything following?
It's currently just raining,
Is it freezing?
not yet.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right. Department head correspondence right after hours. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out tonight. The primary elections are April the 1st. Please get involved in the elections in your city. We have a lot of candidates. Please feel free to contact them, ask them questions, make remarks. Let's keep them civil though. But you've got a lot of qualified people that are running to represent you. And going on to all the correspondence. Alderman Young, you have anything, sir?
Just one thing, sir, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I just want everybody to, and chief, fire chief like this, it's gonna get really, really cold. If you're using a space heater, please respect the distance between the space heater and any flammable object. Last thing we need to have in this town is another house fire, or God forbid, a casualty. Please check on your relatives, your older relatives, and your dogs. If your dogs are outside, at least get them in a carport or something the next few days. It's going to get absolutely cold, y'all. So, that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Daniel, I believe you're going to post on the city website whether it will be open tomorrow night, depending on the weather. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, if you tell me we're not going to be open, I'll put that out there.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Dupree, you have anything, sir?
No, sir.
Alderman Johnson?
No, sir.
Alderman Boston? No, sir. Alderman Geis? No, sir. Alderman Bledsoe?
No, sir.
Alderman Klein?
No, sir.
All right, department head. As I call each department head, if anybody on the board has a question or comment for them, please just raise your hand. We'll do it. Do you have anything for the board, chief?
No, sir.
Mr. Box, you have anything for the board?
I just want to remind everybody, we're in these very cold temperatures for the next few days. Two citizens to run or stream your water a little bit to keep your pipes from bursting. A little bit higher water bill is a lot cheaper than having your plumbing repaired. we're all prepared for it.
Yes, sir. Did a great job the last time. Please tell your crew thank you. Anybody?
I will, sir.
Alderman Boston?
Hey, Stephen, have you got an update on any of those street lights being repaired from Energy? Because I haven't seen anything on this side of town over here.
The only thing I did get the other day, was that there was somebody doing some repair at one of them, and I got this from Jim, actually, the other day, that somebody was trying to do a repair on it, but they didn't finish it. And a citizen called about the hole was still in their backyard, and wires were exposed, and so we had to call Energy and try to figure out, hey, what's going on here? Y'all got, a hole still in the backyard with wires exposed, and a concerned citizen about it, so we called him today. And they're gonna get somebody on it.
Anyone else? Chief Liberal, do you have anything from the board, sir?
No, Mayor, I really don't have anything other than everybody be very careful with the space heaters and the heat and take care of everybody. It's gonna probably be pretty cold. I just got a text, there's nothing on the roads at this time. It's all fine.
Good, thank you, sir. Anyone? You have, one fireman graduating this week for the fire academy?
We have 2 graduating Thursday, yeah. And then Sunday, 2 more go down.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Coleman, you have anything for the board?
No, sir, Mayor.
Anyone? Looks like you're getting a little bit done on the disabled playground around the weather.
Yes, sir. That's what's holding it back is the weather.
Mr. Vance, you have anything for the board, sir?
Yes, sir, I do, Mayor.
Oh, all right, here we go. Thank you, sir.
Mayor, the first thing I'd like to do is just report that we probably need a security camera up here because they stole my mouse. But Jim's gonna help me out here with these slides, I guess. All right, so basically, Mayor, I wanted to kind of just present a little bit of update. Everybody knows we're doing the pavement management program. We're in year 2 of it, year 3 of it now. We've been through 2 years. And so I just want to kind of give you a brief update as far as where we started, and then where we are and where we're headed here. So first slide you see there is simply a depiction of all the streets within the city limits that the city of Horn Lake maintains and operates, and that's 115 centerline miles, which includes, both lanes, all lanes within that street. So 115 centerline miles is what we have. Next slide. Next slide. So this kind of is what I call a hot map. And basically, if you recall, when we started this program, we had a vehicle that drove through all the streets and kind of came up with what we call a PCI rating. And this just depicts where the streets, where we started back 2 years ago. And that PCI rating, if you'll look at the bottom left there, you'll see kind of ranges. It ranges from 0 to 10 in that smaller block at the bottom. Yeah, it ranges from 0 to 10 up to by 10. Yeah, by 10 increments, it ranges up to 100, 90 to 100 being the best. So it goes from red to green. So anything in red is obviously the worst streets. Anything in green is good. So what we tried to do, what this program does is we're going to take the data we collect from that analyzer and put it into a management program, an asset management program, and it will give us the streets, the particular streets that need to be addressed and the type of rehab that needs to be done on those streets. So we started with a range, a PCI range of around 45. That's what's the average of all those streets you see there. So you take the average of every one of those segments and you come up with a PCI rating of around 45. Next slide. So we've been through 2 years, as I mentioned, and the highlighted streets there are what we did in year 1. And the 44.98 is the PCI rating that we started with. And then after that first year, we have a PCI rating of 48.86, and that's over around right at 14 miles of streets that we operated on at a cost of $4,200,000. That's year one. Next slide is year two. So we began there with 48.85 with PCI, and ended up in 51.4 over 8.5 miles of street we operated on at $2.6 million. So those are the two years that we have worked on that. Now, some of these projects or some of these streets have not been completed yet, but they are under contract. And so now we're in year three. But the next slide there simply shows a listing of streets. I'm not going to go through all those, but the green highlighted ones are what was done in year one. We did about 45 segments of street, gives you the street name, the beginning and ending of the termini for that street that we worked on. And then the blue is obviously year two. So if anybody needs a list of that or wants a copy of that, we can certainly get that to you. Then the next three slides, this goes back to, and I probably should have had these side by side, we could see them better, but this is the beginning, which, like I said, started at 44.98, and just by color coding, it depicts the PCI indices. And if you go through the next two, you'll see that it should change to more green, less red, and next year, same thing, more green, less red. So that gets us up to end of year two, which was 51.4. So what we're trying to target or get to, obviously, is everything at least a yellow or green, yeah. So got a little ways to go, but we're in year two right now. So we've spent like a little over $6 million, I think. And go to the next slide, kind of a summary, I believe. As you can see, we again pull it up to the bottom, yeah, a little bit more. So we started with 45, like I said. The next year, we ended with 51.4, which was an increase of 6.42. That's the total increase for the past 2 years, 6.42 increase in the PCI. The total length of pavement that we've worked on is 22.4 miles, and the total cost was 6.8. Now, doing just a little math there, you can see that the cost to get one tick of the PCI up 1 point is about $1 million. So that's kind of what we were looking at, and that's kind of what we found with real data for the last 2 years. And so we would say, well, let's project that and kind of see where we are. So we did that, and on the next slide, it kind of shows where we should end up in this end of this 5-year period we're talking about. And as you can see, we're going to be up close to 60, which is kind of what we were hoping for when we started the project. At the end of 5 years, we want to be 60 or above. We're very close to that as far as projecting it out. So we feel like we're kind of on track as far as getting where we need to be with this program. And keep in mind, we're only putting in $3 million a year, construction dollars to get to that point. So I wanted to just show you, if you're looking at a 60 PSI rating, the next slide kind of gives you an idea of what these PCIs would give you as far as the ranges. So if you look at the bottom right, 0 to 20, that's a failed street, obviously. And then as you go up to the top, you'll see 20 to 40, very poor street, 40 to 55, and then back down to the bottom on the left side is 55 to 70, that's a fair street. That's kind of where we want to be, at least at a 70. When we get through with this, get to this program, we say, okay, now we want to just maintain it. We want to be at least that level of an average, okay? So right now, you're going to see streets like that on the top left, 85 to 100. We've got streets like that, but we've also got streets like the ones on the bottom right. And so the average right now, we're at about, like I said, we're at about 54, 51, something like that. So we're getting there, but we want to be at an average of around 70 when we get through with maybe 8 or 9 years of this program. You should be close to a 70, I would think. And so most of your streets should be in that condition. Now, there's always going to be some better and some worse, but overall, we're going to shoot for a 70 because that's kind of an optimal to get to and be able to maintain without your streets deteriorating faster than we're fixing them, okay? All right, next slide. All right, so like I mentioned, proposed funding, we've been doing this with $3 million a year that comes from your use tax, internet use tax. And That's all we've been using to this point. Now, recently, we talked to MPO, and MPO identified streets that we could add to what they call a functional classification map, and I'm going to show you that on the next slide. But for right now, we have applied to MPO for these additional streets that they have given us on the functional classification map for $6.8 million. And when you get on this, the thing about this is when you get to this point where you're on the functional classification map, that $6.8 million is 80% federal dollars and 20% is local. So you can see we got pretty good leverage if we get that those applications funded. The next slide shows you kind of the streets that we've got applications on through MPO. Those are the 6 streets that we looked at, and those are basically the ones they added to the functional classification. Prior to now, we couldn't get MPO money on those, except from Nail Road. So you can see that the applications that we put in, 1 through 6 over there on the left, the total application cost is 6.8, and that's a cost share of 80-20, which means you'll get 5.5 from the federal government, and the city will end up putting in 1.3. So that's additional funding that we could possibly get there, and we could obviously be able to, once we get to these streets in when the analysis calls for these streets, we can pull them out and insert them into that MPO funding cycle. Or vice versa, we could do it the other way. We could say, let's operate on 2-lane road first, and we could actually stick it in our model and go from there. Just depends on how the money comes out through MPO. So that's, with that funding mechanism, along with the internet use tax, we should be in pretty good shape for the next few years in keeping this thing going. And like I said, once we get to a point where we're close to 70, I think you're going to see a whole lot different streets out there. As a matter of fact, you're seeing some of it now. It's just not widespread enough for everybody because I know there's still some bad streets. So with that, that's kind of our update. I just want to let you know that it does look like we're on target to get to where we need to be with the money we're spending. And I think that it's going to give us some really good, safe streets and also be proactive as far as keeping them maintained.
Thank you. Thank y'all for the wonderful job you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for bringing the board and all the city people and the public up to date on what you've achieved and what you've got planned.
Yes, sir.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Alderman Young.
Mr. Malavasi.
Yes, sir.
On these 80-20 projects you're talking about here,
Mm-hmm.
are these complete relays, or this is not just a top coat, this is complete relays, right?
Well, the thing about it is we could use it for any of the rehab that we need in our program. We could overlay, we could do slurry seals, we could do rejuvenator, all
I
of
got
that.
that. What I'm asking is these numbers that you're putting on here, are those overlays or are they complete relays?
I think when we did that, the applications that we sent on these streets were overlays. Yes, mill and overlays is what we calculated to get the money in the application.
So 30% places are not gonna be overlays, they're gonna be relays. You're going to grind them all the way down.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's not gonna fit into this. Those are gonna be additional.
Right.
Okay, I
Right.
just wanna make sure that I was
That's correct.
focused on what you were saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Benton.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So much.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Andrews. How are you, sir?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, board.
Anything for the board, sir?
Sure, yes. That's a tough act to follow. I wanted to talk about money too, but my numbers were nowhere near Vincent's. But starting off, we have taken in 61 dogs just for this month so far. We've gotten 55 of them out. It does not mean that it was 61 dogs that we found running at large, but it was at least 34 of them. We had 18 puppies abandoned all over the city of Horn Lake, so our numbers are skyrocketing. I previously would have given you our number of animals inside of the building, dogs rather, which was 164, the highest that I've ever known on record for us to have. But we are now down to 142, The team has really been working on getting all of our dogs out to foster homes or to get them adopted. So we are really sinking. I have spoken about having limited intakes just for a short amount of time. That amount of time has not come up yet for us to stop it. We still need to keep it going because even with limited intakes, I found myself bringing in about 6 dogs today, adults.
About, as we discussed, it has to be either a vicious dog or sick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Public nuisance, we're not trying to box ourselves in, and we certainly don't want to. We are keeping public safety as a top priority in all its different shapes and forms. So if they are a public nuisance, we are still bending and taking them into, provided that we have somewhere to put them. So this is pretty much our challenge. But now on a better note, to date, we are still on our trajectory. We are at 21,000, almost 21,500 for the year so far, which is basically more. We've already made more than we made last year for the first quarter. So we are doing good there. Our foster program is working. I don't know what else to do about these animals. They're coming in faster than we really can do anything. You know, like I said, I got 61 in and we got 55 out. So even though there's a small amount, no matter how much work we're doing, we're still getting left over with those tiny little pinches, but those are adding up. And I'm amazed too, but it's the team, the assistant director, she and I, and some of the staff, all of the connections that we've made throughout the years of our careers, is we're relying on that so heavily, and that's how we've been able to get them out. Sonia, she is sitting back there. We had a mom and puppies in the bathroom. I mean, she literally got the whole team out to one rescue group. Sonia, we had a mom dog with 5 puppies. She had given birth to them in the bathroom, and Sonia got the entire family out to a rescue group with someone that she was partnered with. So, I mean, that's really what's helping us, you know, all of us tapping into our resources. But like I said, you know, these animals they're a problem. But we're having a problem here, and I think that we are doing what we can to mitigate it. So we're going down the right path. It's just going to be very, very difficult until we really see, you know, the fruits of our labor. But we're getting there.
You look really good in a Foxton uniform.
Thank you.
That was a great event. Great idea you had about the stuffed animals, too. Y'all did well. One thing I'd like to ask, I mean, you got the perfect storm going on down there. We all know that. To prevent this perfect storm, I think we need to try to get in front of the 8 ball a little bit if we can. I'd like to ask, if it's okay with the mayor, I'd like to have a pro forma budget on what you think you're going to need at the new shelter. People, resources, vehicles, IT requirements, everything that you feel like that you will need without any outside influence from anybody else, but just what you feel like you're going to need in the shelter to operate that, so we can get an idea of where we're going to have to lay come July 1st. Whoever sits here has got to know what you're looking at and what you think it's going to take. Because we got to find the money. I just think we need to get in front of that as soon as we can. So I'm not saying you need to have it by tomorrow or next week. If you can just start working on it and present it sometime in the near future, so we got an idea of just what this is going to do to the budget.
Sure. We'll start working on that.
Thank you.
No, sir, I don't.
Yes, sir. There was questions the past few weeks about our bonds and everything, and mainly stemming around our latest bonds. And I took the opportunity, haven't done this in a while, to show all of our debt that we have, and it's probably good for the public to see that too. But I did add it to our millage sheet that you all get every time we have a budget. Shows that our millage right now per mill generates 245,000 right here on this line. Our total assessed value is 245,483,503. So, I mean, that's the city's total assessed value. From that millage, we get a little over $2.2 million. And, you know, that's not all free to spend. As I've explained before in the past, we do have other obligations that has to be split into debt service. And it also has to go to other things that you all have designated, rainy day fund, the library. We do have vehicle debt here that's shown, and that's mainly the debt for our fire trucks, pumper trucks and ladder trucks that we are paying on. So that type of debt will not be shown in what I'm going to show you on down here. That's a separate debt that we do have. But with this, we have about $9.8 million that we can use in the general fund. And moving down it, I've always had on there our debt, and the payments over here on the left-hand side are our yearly payments for those debts that come out of our general fund, and you can see those range from 693,000 down to the lowest of 243,000. Those are our debts now for the animal shelter, the city hall renovation, the street bond that we took out before we started receiving internet sales. We did take out a bond to start paving streets, and then we still have a general obligation bond that we kind of refinanced, and that is getting ready to roll off. What I added, just so everybody could see, I put all of our debt, and not just the yearly payments, but what we still owe, and I highlighted those that come out of our general fund, and then those that come out of our utility fund, which a lot of times you don't see that, and we don't talk about it enough, so I went ahead and broke it all out. But you can see the animal shelter here will mature in 2039, and we owe close to 8.5 that we will pay out on the animal shelter once the life of the bond. The city hall renovation will mature in 2038, which is close to 3.5 million. And these totals over here are the principal and interest for the life of the bond. As I said, the street bond that we took out in 2019 matures and will be retired in 2029. We still have payments up to almost 3.5 on that also. And that general obligation bond that we have that retires in 2028, we have a little over 1.3. So those general fund debt come to close to 16.7 million. And that, again, when it comes around to budget time, those funds are what come out of our millage and come out of our general fund. So that takes away from our general fund and our operations of the city every year. And that's the ball we have to juggle every year when you know, the department heads come and they have these projects they want to do. We look at raises and different things. Vehicles, we have to compete with that debt. And this was a good time to go over this since we've had a lot of questions from aldermen, because we just added 2 larger debts that now from this point on we're going to be juggling that at budget time. a little over $12 million between these last two projects that have been added to our debt that we'll have to face coming out of the general fund. But I didn't want to, I haven't done this in a long time, showed our utility fund debt. We have, water sewer projects that we've done in years past. We did one in 2014 water sewer bond, and you can see the maturity dates here, 2027, 2035, and 2026. So next year we will have this capital improvement bond rolling off. We only owe 57.8 on that. Other capital improvement, just under $250,000. But this water sewer bond, we still owe 2.3 on that. So if you look at the whole city's debt, we have a little over $19.3 million debt total. But the utility fund pretty much takes care, it does take care of its own. So we typically, at budget time, talk about this general fund debt, which this next budget cycle will be talking about close to 16.7 that we'll be looking at for the next, well, you can see the years there. So I did want to share that since we had several aldermen asking about our most recent debt.
I do not, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor, I make a motion to go into closed determination.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Dupuy. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Mayor, I make a motion to come out of closed determination.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis,
Second.
second by Alderman Bledsoe. Discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Jim.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree. Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe. Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Do we have a motion to go in executive session?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
make a motion to go into executive session for discussions regarding personnel matters in the court department.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Alderman Dupree. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree. Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe. Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. If you will excuse us, ladies and gentlemen.
Do it to it, man.
I think it's a matter of time. Yeah, it's been a while since he's been through the heat.
He's probably ready for some relief, huh? Yeah, I hate to hear it.
Why?
Why?
not sold.
She's not on the list of favorites.
You gallant few. We're back. Do we have a motion to come out of executive session? We have a motion to come out of executive session by Alderman Bledsoe. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Young. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe. Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Do we have any motion from executive session?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
I make a motion to improve the pay increases for the court department as requested.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Alderman Johnson. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, just for
Yes, sir.
accounting purposes, can we make those effective the next full pay period?
Thank you, sir.
I amend my motion.
Motion was amended by Alderman Geis. Second was maintained by Alderman Johnson. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Is there any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree. Alderman Young.
Nay.
Motion carries 6 in favor, 1 opposed. There being no further business for this honorable board, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Everybody said it.
Motion to adjourn by Alderman Johnson. Do we have a second? Second by Alderman Young. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree. Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned. Please be careful going home.